Jashodanandana Jai Braja Janaranjana Jai Braja Janaranjana Jai Braja Janaranjana Jai Braja Janaranjana Jamuna Tira Banachari Jai Kunjabi Hari Jai Kunjabi Hari Jai Jamuna Tira Banachari Jai Kunja Bihari Jai Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna. Rama Rama. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram. Jai Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada. Jai Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Radha Madhav, Radha Madhav, Radhe. Haribo, Haribo, Haribo. Go to Haribo, go to Haribo, Haribo. Jayam Vishnupad Paramhangsha Puribrajaka Acharya Ashtatara Sarasrasramachala Abhay Chardana Rabina Bhakti Vedanta Shami Shri Prabhupada ki ISKCON Pratishtata Acharya Shri Prabhupada ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki Samaveta Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki Shri Navadip Mayapur Dham ki Jai Shri Shinidai Gauda Shitanata Brahmanande. Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Dharma prochita kaitava atra parama nirma sharanam shatamman. Vashamatra vastu shivadam tapatrai unmulanam Srimad Bhagavatam Mahamune krite King Vaipada Ishvara Shadda Redhi Avaruddhate atra kriti bi shushushibit takshanat. Athāviśat sva-bhavanam. Athāviśat sva-bhavanam. Sarva-kāmam anuttamam. Prāsādā yatra patnīnāṁ. sahasrāṇi ṣoḍaśa. athāviśat sva-bhavanam. sarva-kāmam anuttamam. prāsādā yatra patnīnāṁ. sahasrāṇi ṣoḍaśa. Please chant. Matri Mandali. Atha. Thereafter, aviśat, entered. Sva-bhavanam, personal palaces. Sarva, all. Kāmam, desires. Anuttamam, perfect to the fullest extent. Prāsādāḥ, palaces. Yatra, where. Patnīnāṁ, the wives numbering. Sahasrāṇi, thousands. Cha, over and above. ṣoḍaśa, 16. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada ki. Thereafter, the Lord entered his palaces, which were perfect to the fullest extent. His wives lived in them, and they numbered over 16,000. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Lord Krishna had 16,108 wives, and for each and every one of them, there was a fully equipped palace, complete with necessary compounds and gardens, Full description of these palaces is given in the 10th canto. All the palaces were made of the best marble stone. They were illuminated by jewels and decorated by curtains and carpets of velvet and silk, nicely bedecked and embroidered with gold lace. The personality of Godhead means one who is full with all power, all energy, all opulence, all beauties, all knowledge, and all renunciation. Therefore, in the palaces of the Lord, there was nothing wanting for fulfilling all desires of the Lord. The Lord is unlimited, and therefore his desires are also unlimited, and the supply is also unlimited. Everything being unlimited, it is concisely described here as sarva-kāmam, or full with all desirable equipment. Mukam karati bachalam pangam langai tekinam chakrapata Muhammad Shri Bandeyaham Shri Guru Shri Jutapada Kamalam Shri Guru and Vaishnavangscha Shri Rupam Shagarajatam Shahagaram Tang Shajibam Shadaitam Shavadutam Parijana Shaitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitangscha Mantra Guru Ajota Shikha Guru Gontar Chodanayage Koriya Bandhan Pansha Kalpa Trubi Ashtakha Bhashan Bebaja Poditanam Papane Babashne Babanamo Namaha. In the modern world, we try to make the atmosphere beautiful in an artificial way. You go into the shopping mall. I mean, we haven't been in shopping mall for a long time, but it's all the air conditioning, the lighting, background music, but everything is so dual in this material world. You go to the back of the mall. And then you see all the junk and all the rubbish and all the wires and the running the AC and in the modern world, they think that the history, the thousands of years ago, people were primitive, living in caves. 5,000 years ago, and living in caves. All the palaces were made of marble. They were illuminated by jewels, decorated with curtains and carpets of velvet and silk, nicely bedecked and embroidered with gold lace, because there was so much opulence. This chapter, it begins, the description of Dwarka. There's a few verses back that's Prabhupada's describing the residential. It's so beautiful, Dwarka, Dham. And these verses describing the city as Lord Krishna is entering. It's so beautiful. Filled with opulences of all seasons, hermitages, orchards, flower gardens, parks, reservoirs of water, breeding lotus flowers all over. The city gateway, household doors, and festooned arches along the roads were all nicely decorated with festive signs like plantain trees and mango leaves. It's all natural things and provided by nature because of the Raja here, Dwarkadish, is so dharmic and everyone is following Varnashram Dharma. So nature provides so much. Nature provides so much natural, beautiful opulences. All of these things were to welcome the Lord. Flags, garlands, painted signs, slogans. Jai Shri Krishna. Shri Krishna Shubha Agaman Ki. That's a slogan. We're slogans. Now we have, if you fly into Mumbai, and you go to the ISKCON temple, there's a constant bombard of signboards. The whole way, the whole highway is buy this chopper, buy this fridge, buy this surf powder, right? XL surf XL. You have to close your eyes, literally, to have to close your eyes. But slogans all combined to shade the sunshine. The highways, subways, lanes, markets, public meeting places were all thoroughly cleansed and moistened with scented water. Prabhupada's commenting that rose petals in the water is gulab jal you buy in the market, but they were making fresh. We just visited Jagannath Puri last week, Bhakti Purushottam Swami and Bhakti Vijay Bhagavat Swami. We were filming there, and similarly, you see these sevaks, Jagannath sevaks, and they're just wearing a gamsha, and they're barefoot, and they're walking through the streets of Puri, carrying a big basket on their head of some bhoga for Lord Jagannath or some service, and hundreds of sevaks are like that. Everyone absorbed, everyone engaged. This is like Dwarka Dham. Now there is a comment that Prabhupada makes in this chapter. He says that the temple worship should be like the atmosphere in Dwarka Dham, where the Lord is worshipped. So when we come into the temple, just like this description here, all beautiful things, paraphernalia, reception, auspicious items, everything. The temple is meant to facilitate this type of atmosphere. And we come to the temple. When we see Dwarkadish, we see Radha Madhav. And that's why we have temples. That's why we have temples, because it's an embassy of the spiritual world. So it's so beautiful. Srimad Bhagavatam, Kalo Nasta Drisham Esha Puranaka Adunuditaha. Puranako, it is like the sun. Ako, like this. Puranako Adunuditaha. And it's just arisen. Krishna sva-dam upagate, dharma jnana adibishaha. When Krishna has just departed, jnana, dharma jnana adibishaha, along with religiousness. The Srimad Bhagavatam is so important. Is there any comparison? Can you possibly offer any comparison on this planet of a theological treatise, scripture, which gives so much detail on the quality, on the character, on the behavior, on the abode, on the servants, on the relationships that we have with the Lord? Is there any comparison to Srimad Bhagavatam on this planet? There is no comparison. You go to any major religion, some vague concept. Even in Christianity, the concept was actually not even from the Shastra, it was from an artist. There's no description there, the clouds and the beard and all. That's from an artist, the Christian God in the Sistine Chapel. Because of the vacancy of the description of the Lord. So artists come up with that projection. But it's not, it's just conditioned souls concept. But Srimad Bhagavatam is incarnation of Krishna. Brahma Samhitam, idam Bhagavatam nama, Puranam Brahma Samhitam. It is Krishna. Prabhupada comments that all the results acquired by direct association with the Lord can be acquired by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, associating with Srimad Bhagavatam. Pibata Bhagavatam Rasham. The bhakti rash, the feelings, the emotions of loving Krishna can be awakened, can be aroused by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. Shrabanadi Shuddha Chitte. Shrabanadi, based on hearing the Krishna Katha, the Bhagavat Katha. Shrabanadi Shuddha Chitte. The heart becomes pure. Koraya Udoy. Udoy, arousal. Udoy, arousal of feelings toward Krishna. Shrabanadi Shuddha Chitte. Shri Gauda Modur Lila, Jar Karne Probe Shila, Ridoy Nirmal Bhela Tar. You hear this process, a hearing. Modur Lila. The Gaur Modur Lila, Krishna Modur Lila. This is so sweet, these descriptions of Dwarka Dham. Just by hearing there, we can transcend, we can actually get relief from the, as Prabhupada uses the word, the pangs of material existence. Just by Bhagavat Sravan, just by absorbing, hearing, we can go there. We can go there. By hearing. And the more attentively we hear, the deeper, then the more we can experience. Well, monodiye shunu by Sri Chaitanya Kotar, Bhakti Sange, Jai Jai Leela Koilo, Jota Jota. We're talking Bhagavat Kotha. The Bhagavat Kotha is Chaitanya Bhagavat Kotha, is the same author. And Vrindavandas Thakur, he says that monodiye shunubai, monodiye, attention with your mind, absorb your mind, monodiye shunubai, Chaitanya Kotha, Sri Chaitanya Kotha. Why does he say monodiye with great attention? Listen, brother, shunubai, Sri Chaitanya Kotha, with great attention. Why? Because Bhakti Sange, with the devotees, with his devotees, Bhakti Sange, Jai Jai Leela Koilo, Jota Jota. Jota Jota. Bengali Bhagavad Gita is called Bhagavad Gita Jota Jota. Jota Jota means as it is. As it is. So Vrindavandas Thakur says, listen attentively, because what I am saying, Bhakti Sange Jai Jai Leela Koilo Jota Jota. The way they happened, that's how I'm describing. The way they happened. So therefore the deeper one hears, the more one can come close to experiencing that Leela. That is our only path. We're going to be hearing eternally. You come to this movement, you begin hearing, you're going to be hearing. Is it? And next body, next spiritual body is hearing. Hearing is the Shravana Ponta, Shota Ponta. Because by hearing we can actually, that'll awaken the love. And then when you have Bhagavad Bhakti, you have love for Krishna, that's it. That will take you to Krishna. Just we were hearing when the devotees arrived in Jagannath Puri from Bengal. Gauda hoite Vaishnava, Vashyat Chendu Shota, Mahaprabhu Bhakti Shab, Mahabhagavata. Gopinath Acharya to the king, he's announcing that 200 devotees have come from Bengal. Gauda hoite Vaishnava, Vashyat Chendu Shab, Mahaprabhu Bhakti Shab. They're all great devotees of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Mahabhagavata. Greatly advanced in devotional service. And they came, and Govinda, Sarup, Namada, they came, offered garlands of Lord Jagannath and Mahaprasad, paid obeisances, describing all the devotees enumerated by Gopinath Acharya. Pratapurja Maharaj is listening. And then there's a discussion later. There's many things we can say about that, but we'll move ahead because we'll get back to this topic of the wives. There's a discussion, and the king asks Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya why they didn't go directly to the temple of Lord Jagannath, why they've come to see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu first. And actually Mahaprabhu, he asked Ramananda Roy, it was also discussed then, but similarly when Ramananda Roy came, he met in Mahaprabhu in South India. And Mahaprabhu told him, give up everything, come to Jagannath Puri with me. Ramananda Roy, he did. Vishaka Arjun avatar. Ramananda Roy, special. And then later, Antalila Mahaprabhu, Sarvabhnamana, Ramananda Roy, special devotees. So Ramananda Roy comes to the Lord directly. And the Lord says, Roy, what have you done? What have you done? Why you have not gone to see the lotus-eyed Lord, Jagannath? You've come here. Oh no. Ramananda Roy said, how could I? The legs simply take me where the heart is fixed. So this is bhakti, Bhagavad Bhakti. You awaken that attachment to Krishna, that will take you to Krishna. Without it, Jai Shambanda Nahi Ja Brita Janama Gelotar, Jai Shambanda Nahi. Those who don't have that relationship, some connection, some attachment. Jai Shambanda Nahi Ja, those who don't have it. Brita Janama Gelotar, their life is just wasted. Somehow if we can awaken some attachment to Krishna, awaken that will never be lost. Even if we're not complete, it'll never be lost. Again, we'll come to Krishna. And eventually we'll have that, by carrying on, hearing, Shravan Adi, Shuddha Chitte, it becomes inflamed. So Srimad Bhagavatam, what a boon to humanity, what Prabhupada has done. The contribution, we cannot even, we don't go now, but we used to go to Dubai. And there's one building there, Burj Khalifa. They say tallest building in the world. I believe so, tallest building in the world. But you can't, when you're in Dubai on the street, you look up, yeah, it's tall, yeah. But how exceptionally tall, you can't tell unless you go a long distance away. When you're flying, you're landing, or then you look and you say, wow, that Burj Khalifa, that's 3 times bigger than anything else. But when you're on the street in Dubai, you look up, yeah, it's tall, but how much tall? Well, that's like us now. We don't know how important Prabhupada is on this planet. We can't estimate because it's too close. Prabhupada is our Thakurda. Yes, Thakurda. Yes. It's like grandfather and father for so many. It's so close, so intimate. But Prabhupada has not just come for his immediate disciples and grand disciples. He's come for humanity. He's come for the planet. And this hasn't even been understood by the planet. They still, in general, the planet haven't heard of Prabhupada and Srimad Bhagavatam. But Prabhupada came on the Jaladuta. It's so poetic. Lila Amrita, because it's transcendental. He's on Lila Amrita, he's on the Jaladuta with the Bhagavatam. In his trunk, the Bhagavatams. How many? I don't know, 300. Brahmananda tells that he gave all of his money to Prabhupada. He gave all of his money. Or $500 savings he gave to Prabhupada. and at that time, Prabhupada was personally selling his trilogy, his 3 volumes, the first canto. You can see in Vrindavan, in Prabhupada's rooms, the first canto he published in Juhu, in Melbourne. They have these first cantos that Prabhupada published. Prabhupada was personally selling. And Brahmananda gave $500 donation. That's a lot of money 50 years ago. And he's sitting there and he said, can I have the books? And Prabhupada said, yes, certainly. Prabhupada takes the books and gives and says, that's $21. Prabhupada ki jai. Brahmananda, he gave all his money, donation. He thought he would get it. Prabhupada said, that's $21. I mean, Prabhupada, the uncompromised representative, Bhagavat Acharya. He came to bring the Bhagavatam. So Bhagavatam is Bhagavad Gita is so important for us. This is how we'll understand Krishna. That's how and by understanding, Jnanavan mam prapadyante, Jnanavan mam prapadyante, you understand Bhagavad Tattva. By hearing the Bhagavad Gita and Prabhupada's commentary, Jnanavan mam prapadyante. You will surrender, because how can you not surrender? So overwhelmed with appreciation, with love. So the wives today, the Dwarka Ranis. I'll read a few things. The Dwarka Ranis. It is a complex topic. It is enigmatic, a mysterious topic. What is their relationship? The Dwarka Ranis. They have children with Krishna. They have children with Krishna, with God. They have children. He has sons. He has 10 sons to each wife. And they have 10 grandsons. Prabhupada says billions, the family members of Krishna. Billions. Billions. So why is that? We'll touch on that. But why? 16,000. I mean, the country is, even now you hear some of the big sheikhs. Sheikhs, they have 50 wives and 70 wives. But you don't hear more than that. But 16,000? 16,000? Maybe in this room we can fit 200 people. Maybe standing in this room, maybe maximum 300 in this room. I would say 300, 100, 300 standing in this room. So you'd need 3 of these rooms full to make it down, and then you'd need 16. So there's 16 times, 45 of these rooms full of people standing up. 45. They would go right down there past all the way to Rasamrita Kunj. Full. And there's the wives. I'm trying to give you a figure to help you understand. 16,000. 1,000 wives for every round. 1,000 wives for every round. How can you even remember the names? There's 16,000. It's like huge. 16,000. So why? Why so many? We'll answer that. Prabhupada, but some things, we need to answer these questions. I'll read a few things. It's Krishna book, chapter 61. All the princesses who were wives of Krishna were exquisitely beautiful, and each one of them was attracted by Krishna's eyes, which were just like lotus petals, and by his beautiful face, long arms, beautiful ears, pleasing smile, humorous talk, and sweet words. This is Keval Shuddha Prem. Keval Shuddha Prem. They're not attracted because he's the Supreme God. It's not mentioned here because he has opulence. Aishwarya Prakash. They're not attracted because he's the Paramatma, or he's the knower of all things, or the creator. They're not attracted because of that. Because of his eyes, because of his beautiful face, his long arms, his beautiful ears, his pleasing smile. This is a conjugal rush. There's no Aishwarya. Although there is a mix in Dwarka, unlike Vrindavan. They know that he's the Supreme Lord. But it's not so. It's not why they're attracted, but they know he's the Supreme Lord. But in Vrindavan, they don't even know he's the Supreme Lord. Even if he just demonstrates. Aishwarya dekleo nija shambandha shemane. When Gopal sat on Ma Yasoda's lap and showed the universal form, momentarily she was somewhat astonished. Philosophical. But then, no, I have to feed my baby. Could you imagine your child sits on your lap, shows you the universal form? I mean, everyone in the community would know about it. You would be telling everybody, my child opened his mouth, I saw the universal form, I saw the Virat Rupa. It would be constantly, you wouldn't be able to sleep. She doesn't mention it to anybody. Yeah, she didn't mention it. It's not mentioned again. She don't even think of it again. Amazing. You see, your child opens them and sees the universe and all details. You look on your YouTube channel, my child opened my mouth and I saw the whole universe, and it'd be like a million views. News reporters. Ma Yasoda didn't even tell anybody. How is that? Why? Because it's not important to her. She didn't care about it. She didn't even think about it again. Isn't that amazing? That's how much, because she's so much absorbed in these things, his beautiful features, his smile, his smiling face, his ears, his sweet words. When Sachinandan came back from the Ganga, having taken bath, he disturbed all the Brahmins, all the Brahminis, Kumaris, and they all went and complained to Jagannath Mishra and Sachimata. Jagannath Mishra looking for him, you're not there. The boys, he hasn't even come to the Ganga today. He uses his mystic opulence to be naughty and not get scolded. Ballabha Prakatiya. He's Aishwarya, he demonstrates in the childhood pastime so that he doesn't get scolded. He comes back having taken bath, and Jagannath Mishra and Sachimata are discussing, and they're saying that the Brahmins, they all came one after another, 15 of them. They made these complaints. And then the unmarried girls, they all came to Sachimata. They weren't fabricating stories. They wouldn't do that. How is it that he appears and he hasn't even been to the Ganga? How is this? What this child we have? Is he a mystic? Is he a great rishi? Is he the supreme dev or devata? Just as he was thinking in that way. He's something special. He's the supreme devata. Just as he's thinking in that way, Sachinandan comes back from the Ganga. Comes in, sees his father, runs, climbs up on his lap, embraces Jagannath Mishra. Feeling that embrace, Putra, Darsh Anande, Guchilo Bichar, Shneha Punna Hoilo, Duha Kichu Nahi Ar. Putra Darsh Anande, seeing this son, Putra Darsh Anande, the bliss from seeing his son, Guchilo Bichar. He forgot everything. He forgot the bichar, all of the arguments and the circumstances coming to the Ganga. He forgot everything. Shneha Punna Hoilo. Just completely absorbed in affection. Shneha Punno. Complete affection. Hoilo. Duha. These two. Sachimata. Jagannath Mishra. Kichu Nahi Ar. There's nothing else in their mind, nothing else except for affection for Sachinandan. So anyway, the wives, and they're so attracted to his feet. They all used to dress themselves very attractively, the Ranis, desiring to attract him. Desiring to attract him. That's their devotion. Right? I mean, the husband is not meant to be attracted to, wife is not meant to be attractive to the husband. Right? Wife and husband, they're attracted. They're attracted. Sexually. That's husband and wife relationship. They have children with Krishna. They're serving him by looking beautiful. That's their bhakti, that's their devotional service. They wanted to serve him in that way. They exhibited their feminine characteristics by smiling and moving their eyebrows. Imagine, we can't see, but we can hear the Dwarkaranis moving their eyebrows and smiling at Krishna. Dogadish. Thus shooting sharp arrows of conjugal love just to awaken Krishna's lusty desire for them. Still, they could not arouse Krishna's mind or his sexual appetite. It's Krishna book. This means that Krishna never had any sexual relations with any of his many wives, save and except to beget children. That means, obviously, and not only, okay, so this is, we have to understand this. So the people that don't understand, they just hear 16,108 wives. Oh, that's, well, what's wrong with this guy? There's too much. They don't understand that he's not affected, he's not contaminated, he doesn't become degraded, rajagun, tamagun. He's only marrying them because they wanted to become his wives. They surrendered the 16,000 princesses captured by Bomashura. They surrendered to him. And Doyamoy Putit Pabon, he accepted them. So they wanted him as their husband. So then he accepted, okay, I'll become. But he did not requiring. It's not that, 15,000 is not enough for me. 15,000 is not enough. He doesn't need any. So why is he accepting? He's accepting because they are approaching. I'll accept. I'm ready to be your husband. That's Krishna avatar. We hear about the munis and the rishis in the forest, Nanyakaranya. They wanted to associate with Lord Rama, and you come in the Krishna avatar, then you can become my conjugal lover. For the devotees who want to have that absorption, just like in the same way, it's not mundane, it's not discussed so much because we can get confused, but just like Sachimata and Jagannath Mishra, they think that Sachinandan is their son. In the dream, one Brahman appeared to Jagannath Mishra and said, look, it's not appropriate that you chastise your son, or what to speak of trying to educate him. He is the Supreme Lord and he's fully conversant with all transcendental knowledge. An effulgent Brahman. Could you imagine a dream like that? Effulgent Brahman speaking to you with tilak. What a dream. So in the dream, Jagannath Mishra replies, Mishra kohe, Dev Shiti Muni Keni Noi, Jai Shai Bodo Hok Matro Amar Tanoi. Mishra Bole, he replied that Dev Shiti Muni Keni Noi. Yes, he may be a great rishi. He may be a great muni. He may be a demigod. He may be the Supreme Lord. Dev Shiti Muni Keni Noi. Jai Shai Bodo Hok, no matter how extraordinary he is, Matro Amar Tanoi, as far as I'm concerned, he's my son. And my responsibility is to give him an education. So then, this is he's thinking that Krishna, that Gauranga is his son, and that conception is so Shneha Punno. Shneha is so deep. It's thousands of times deeper concept than in this material world the Father has for the Son. His conception that he is my Son is everything. There's nitya lila. These pastimes are going on eternally. How deep that relationship becomes, the Father and the Son relationship. That's the Vatsalya Rash. And there is the Madhurya Rash. They are in love with Krishna and he's loving them. That's just try to imagine. Try to imagine that type of relationship with God. Now, not only was there love, romance, and this affection that they're experiencing, and that's their conjugal rush, bhav. Not only that, but Krishna, he was not only was there the lover, but he was henpecked. Prabhupada uses the word henpecked. He uses it in these purports, text 39, he uses it in the Krishna book. Henpecked. You know what henpecked means? Well, I wasn't exactly sure, so I took the trouble to look it up in the dictionary. Because it's an old word from Old English, Prabhupada, Scottish Church College English. Henpecked. A man thoroughly and continually dominated, intimidated, bullied, browbeaten by a woman, especially his wife. Continually dominated, intimidated, bullied, browbeaten. Well, anyway, maybe they weren't that extreme. But Prabhupada uses the word henpecked. In other words, yes, Maharani, yes, whatever you say, yes. He's not asserting his authority. They were the boss. They were the bosses. And that's what that means. The Dwarka Ranis were in charge, and he was simply, they were in, because this is his, he's not henpecked by anybody. Satantra. Mata parataram nannat kinchit ashti dhananjay. There's no truth superior to me. He doesn't have to do anything anyone says. But this is the relationship. This is how they're enjoying. They think that the Ranis, they think that he is attached to my feminine beauty and therefore I can control him. Like most wives think. Right? Why they spend the mirror and so much time dressing? Right? Because this is the function, to attract this is the work, attract the mind, and on the basis of that, the household functions. Household function. The husband doesn't care about any of these things. Wife has to tell him to do all these things. But why is he doing them? Because he's under control, because of her beauty, because of her feminine affection. This conditioned soul needs that. This is how material, family life, everyone's absorbed, everyone. So Krishna, he plays the husband to give pleasure to the wives, to his Dwarka Ranis. Now in Chaitanya Charitamrita, just on the topic of the Mahishi, Maharaj Mahishi, the queens of Dwarka, Kaviraj Goswami, he's explaining the queens of Dwarka are all manifestations of Sri Radhika. That's what Kaviraj Goswami says. They're manifestations of Sri Radhika. Prabhupada in this, he says that he writes, Krishna Kanta gone, Deki Tribida Prokar, Krishna Kanta, the lovers, Kanta, a lover. Krishna Kanta gone. The lovers of Krishna Kanta gone. Trivida Prokar. There are three categories of Krishna's lovers. Ek Lakkigon, Pure, Mahishigon are. So two of them are mentioned here. That Lakkigon in Vaikuntha, the Lakki Devi in Vaikuntha, she is one Krishna Kanta, one type of lover. And Pure means Dwarkapuri. Pure, Mahishigon. The queens, Krishna's wedded wives in Dwarka, they are another category of Krishna. And Brajangana Rupa are Kantagon Shar, the Brajangana, the cowherd damsels of Vrindavan. They are the third category of Krishna Kanta, Krishna's lovers. And all of these three categories, Sri Radhika hoite kanta goner bishtar. Sri Radhika hoite kanta goner bishtar. Bishtar means expansion. All of these, the Mahishi, queens of Dwarka, the Lokhi Devi in Vaikuntha, and the Gopis in Vrindavan are all Sri Radhika Bishtar. Bishtar means expansion. In the purport to text 35 of this chapter, Prabhupada says, he marries like us, but his marriage is neither mundane nor limited by our experience in the conditional state. But it looks like that. He marries like us. He marries. Why he marries? Because in this case, it's to dharma sangstarpanataya. And he marries, so therefore even so many, he married them all, he provided for them palaces, dharma sangstāpana, grihastha dharma, raja dharma, sangstāpana, to demonstrate. Therefore, his wives therefore appear like mundane women, but factually they are all transcendental, liberated souls, perfect manifestations of internal energy. Swarup Shakti Prakash. So why Krishna marries 16,000? Why 16,000? Why so many? 16,000. He married only 16,000 wives and entered into each and every one of the different palaces just to impress in the history of the human beings on the surface of the earth that the Lord is never equal to or less than any human being. So just to impress, you see? That's why. No one, therefore, is either equal to or greater than the Lord. The Lord is always great in all respects. God is great. It's an eternal truth. So 16,000 wives. And it's not that, he's so exhausted. 16,000. It's not like that. He expands himself, and each wife is fully satisfied. And she thinks that there's no other husband, there's no other co-wife. She thinks that Krishna is in her palace all the time. So who can do that? So we have to have the whole story to understand how this is worshipable, how this God is great. So just to impress in the history of human society. And Prabhupada goes on to explain that he displays his transcendental pastimes just to attract conditioned souls to become his eternal servitors. Friends, parents, and lovers, respectively, in the transcendental world. So he comes and demonstrates, and Srimad Bhagavatam gives detailed description so that we can become attracted to awakening and cultivating such a relationship. Servitor, friend, parent, and lover. Hare Krishna. Is there any questions? Yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you very much for the nice class. Are all the 16,108 queens expansions of Srimati Radharani, or just Satyabhama, Rukmini and major ones? Because elsewhere it's also mentioned that these princesses that were kidnapped by the demon, they were sages in their previous lives, and they were doing a lot of...
So that you can discuss later when you get to that chapter 14, 15 of this canto. This is chapter 10, and that will come about Arjuna taking the wives of Krishna. So then that's discussed there by acharyas. But Prabhupada mentions here in the purport to text 35 of this chapter, he says that they appear like mundane women, but factually they are all transcendentally liberated souls, perfect manifestations of internal energy. So, and Gopal Tapani Upanishad, Prabhupada quotes also that the queens of Dwarka are Swarup Shakti, not Jiva Shakti. So anyway, it doesn't make that much difference from our point of view whether they're Swarup Shakti or Jiva Shakti become perfect. The point is that we hear about this and we appreciate this, and this way we experience feelings of Krishna consciousness.
Just one more question. Srila Prabhupada, you mentioned that we feel close to him, that's why we don't appreciate as much. Is this in any way, by feeling closeness to him, we are breeding familiarity in any way?
I don't think it's not. I may have said we don't appreciate, but that's not the word. We don't understand it. We're unable to fully evaluate his impact. Because we see him more as such an affectionate well-wisher and family member. The devotees, those who have surrendered to Prabhupada's movement, Prabhupada's very kind on them, and we worship every day. He's our worshipable acharya. So the people in general, the humanity in general, we may not expect everyone to have developed that relationship with Prabhupada and worship him every day. But our objective should be that the world comes to know who is Srila Prabhupada and his contribution. And so that is, that is so enormous that we as yet haven't made that known to the world. Yes.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for the class. I have two queries, Prabhuji. First is, as you mentioning this, Krishna having so many wives is showing showing the humanity that he is acting like a human and attract the human to his Leela. Other thing ki Hare Krishna. We have seen that Lord Balram is the brother of Krishna, and we didn't heard much about this. Hare Krishna. So, and nothing mentioned about his children also. Balram also got married to Revati and Varuni, but nothing mentioned about his family, children's.
No comment.
Balram came as Nityanand. So Nityanand married and he got children.
Any what? Yeah, we know that. Nityananda Prabhu married and had children. Yeah. 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 Any what? Reason? It's kind of somewhat related, but I mean, there is a comment there that Krishna personally had to remove the Yadu dynasty. Krishna personally, because there's no army that could face them. They become so powerful after the battle of Kurukshetra, which is what we're discussing here. So, and Prabhupada comments that why he had to remove them, because he didn't want them to exploit the planet that we are Krishna's family members. So anyway, I have no comment about Mahaprabhu not having children, but in the case of Prabhupada comments that Krishna was concerned about his family, his descendants becoming proud that they are the descendants of Krishna. Whether that answers the question. But Mahaprabhu not having children, well, that's it. We chant Jai Shachi Nandan, Jai Shachi Nandan. We chant, it's not just something in a chant, because it's so significant. Because the relationship that Sachimata has, she only has Nimai. And we take her name. She has such love for Nimai. Granthad Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Shamabeta Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai.